Hello my friends, John LaRuffa here with another Straight Up Solo. And in this episode, we're going to take a look at the solo mode of rebuilding Seattle. Let's go ahead and take a quick moment to do the overview. Then I'll teach you kind of how it plays or show you how it plays. I'm in the middle of the game at this point, and then I'll tell you what I think of it. All right, let's take a look. Okay, folks, and as usual, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And if you have, thank you so much. I appreciate the constant support or the regular support, however you want to look at it. Okay, so like I said, I am in the beginning here of round 2, which is, basically through a third of the game. I'm playing against the solo opponent. The solo opponent does draw cards. It's a denial system, and it's also a system that it denies you buildings that you want to build, plus it will trigger events depending on when the card comes up, which is very good, I think, from a standpoint of making sure that you're balancing your risk versus reward. And you'll see that as I play through. So what do I got in front of me? First of all, the game's played in 3 rounds. This is basically a very large score track with a market, and the market is where you buy these different buildings. The buildings will give you the building, which you'll increase your amenities in most cases, plus a bonus on the bottom of them. There are also some pre-printed buildings on here that you can get in case a card is missing. This one doesn't give you a bonus, but it'll allow you to buy, a decent size orange building. And the cost of these are right there. There's also, although I didn't deal all of them out, there's 97 of these things, but you're not going to need that many in a solo game. There's a bunch of these suburb tiles, which allows you to increase your overall city, okay, and gives you more room to expand and score, etc. And that's going to be something you can do during the game. You do a decent amount of, actually. Then there is the your kind of, I would say, neighborhood, okay? So this is your section of the building, and it's unique in the fact, or the town, it's unique in the fact that you'll have 3 unique laws, but everything else is the same, and these laws are something you can enact once per round, and they'll do something specific for you, which I'll tell you in a second. There's the solo deck of cards, which we talked about, money, and then your actual neighborhood or your portion of the city. Now, the way the game works is you are going to alternate turns with the solo player, and I am actually going first this round, and you have a couple things you can do in your round. Number 1, you can buy land, or I should say suburbs tiles for 4, and or one of these cards, and the cards will basically build you a building. And as any usual polynomial game, you can't build over different things as far as buildings. They can't hang off the edge. However, you can build over these little pre-printed icons on the suburbs. That's totally fine. Other than that, build it where you want. Now, there are some reasons to build things next to certain things, specifically with your landmarks. So once you build these landmarks, they may score you points somehow at the end of the game. For instance, this one says, if I build the Space Needle for 14, at the end of the game, it's going to say 4 points per one of these green building tiles adjacent to at least one of the pink tiles. So I got to pay attention to that while I'm playing. I want to put green and pink next to each other. Same thing with the university library. At the end of the game, 4 points for every gray tile that's next to at least one, I should say adjacent to at least one blue tile, okay? And they also do something immediately too. For instance, this one immediately will give me 2 points per gray tile that I've already built, and this one says immediately enact one of your laws or trigger an event. Now, what are these events? Basically, the events are scoring. For the most part, they're scoring. They either generate you money or sometimes increase your suburbs, or they help you shrink your population. And actually, in this game, you want a low population because that's one of the main mechanics where you're trying to satisfy the needs of everybody in the city. And if you can't, then you don't get as much of a reward when you score these things. And so it's important to try to do these in the right order as best you can. And if you choose them, you get a special bonus. It's a small bonus, but it can be significant. If the solo player chooses them, then you don't get the bonus, but you do get the all players do whatever it is. Okay? So the other thing I'll just say is some people said the setup is tedious. I don't think so, as long as you don't try to place all of your building tiles out. If you just put them in little piles, it's not a tough deal at all to set this game up. Just dump bag, and then boom, you're pretty much ready to go quickly. If you try to set them all out like it says in the rule book with, everything neatly in its place, yeah, this is going to be a tedious setup, right? If you try to go that approach. So I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, so let me go ahead and take a couple turns and kind of show you the way the game flows. Now, what am I trying to do? Well, I'm trying to increase the amount of amenities that I have in different areas and at the same time increase the quality. So when these specific events score, I will get the most out of that amenity when it scores. So they do recommend for the beginner player that you only focus on one or two tracks or so, not necessarily all three. And I can see why that is. You're trying to maximize, just like anything else in any Euro game, you're trying to maximize your situation. So in the spirit of that, I've been trying to, by default, kind of focus on these because that's how some of the cards came out. But I do have some cards here that will help me score a little bit of extra income during the income phase when the time comes for me, or the profit phase, when the time comes for me to get more money. And money is very tight in this game. That is the main resource. So the first thing that happens on the round is that I have to increase my population by 12. Now, notice I said increase because the first game I played this, I thought it was just set your population to that level. And that makes the game really easy and not very fun. And so I shouldn't say not very fun, but you blow away the 120 score limit that you're trying to get to. And it's like, wow, that wasn't a big deal. Maybe I played something wrong. Well, in fact, I did. So this population is going to keep creeping up and there's ways to reduce it. But just make sure you increase all of those every time. Okay, so that's just the beginning of the the first phase. Now we do the actions here, and so you're going to take turns basically doing this until somebody, you or the opponent, takes the last event. Then the round's going to end. So let's go ahead and begin now. I'm a little strapped on land, as you can see. So the first thing I want to do is take the buy suburbs and or building tiles. So I'm going to pay 4 for that right now. So let's go ahead and do that. Get this top one here. And like I said, I'm trying to surround these things in ways that make sense. So I've got this one kind of spaced out to do a blue tile here so I can get that going. And I'm going to probably put this over here for the double reason that I could also build maybe another gray over here that'd be also next to that blue. And we'll put it that way right there. So that's 4. Now I've got my choice of cards out here, and let's see. So I have been kind of doubling down on these 2 tracks here. So let's keep that going. It looks like there's nothing out here, unfortunately, that I can build for a gray tile. So I'm really limited there. I'm not going to be able to do that, which is unfortunate. So that's the way the cookie crumbles here with the cards. And you do have more cards than you can build. And I don't think any of these cards allow me. Oh, there we go. So if I do build that, I could build a gray. So there's that approach there. That's expensive. But at the same time, it's probably what I want to do because that's going to be important for me to maximize what I'm doing. So I'm going to spend the 5, the more expensive one. I'm going to take this card right here, and it's going to let me build a train station. And then during the profit phase, I'll get $1 for every blue building I have. Well, so far I only have 1 blue building, so I need to do more of that. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and get this small little station here. Okay, I could put it wherever I want. And the spot I think I'm going to put it is going to be right here because I don't really need it to be by anything specifically, but I don't want to cover anything. Okay, so then the solo turn. He flips it over. You do exactly what it says. Oh, that's unfortunate. So he's going to activate the entertainment district right away. Well, you could see that I've got a long deficit between where my entertainment amenities are and this tile. So basically, you lose 1 quantity of what you want to do for each of these that you take a step back on. Okay, so what that means is I basically am not going to get anything out of this because I've got to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Well, 16, if it's 4 points and 4 stars, those are exhausted, right? So that doesn't happen. I don't get anything. This just flips over, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's the way it works with the solo. So comes to me again, and I would like to buy that gray building if at all possible. And I do want to put it over here. So I'm going to spend the $5. Here's 5 more to pick up that gray building now. And that's going to help me thin out my population and also hopefully get a better situation when that time comes. So we did that. We paid 5 to do it. Here's the solo. It says activate Nature's Impact. So he's just going right for the events this time. So Nature's Impact says for each of these water icons I have, I lose one population, which is good. So 1, 2, 3. So we'll back that up, down 3. So now I'm from 19 to 16. So there we go. That's good. Then we flip this over. Okay. Now I'm a little shy on cash, but I don't want him to pull another event on me without doing this. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to spend $1. I'm going to enact a law, $1 to lose 2 more people. So again, I really want to try to drive this down to maximize my returns. So there's my turn right there. Let's see what he decides to do. Okay, he says remove leftmost 4 building. So they are going to specify exactly which one of these to do. And if you have already done it, then basically you draw another card. It doesn't skip a turn or anything else. You just draw another card if you can't do exactly what it says. Okay, so I would like to start investing a little bit in blue since I make some more money in that regard and everything else. And I need a blue down here. So let's spend the $3 and let's get this card. So this card says immediately advance my blue amenities to, because this has 2 little dancing icons on it, this building. And then it also says bump up my blue quality by 1. So that actually was related. Sometimes they're not, but that one is. So that ups that. Then I put this over here, and again, I'm putting it over here in the hopes of building that landmark one day. Okay. Now we flip another card over. It says activate the shopping area. So I'm going to score my quality track. So I would get $8 or 8 points, one or the other. You cannot split them. I think it's just an or. It's not like I could take some and not the other. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's a bummer. So I don't have enough again to get anything out of that. And so I basically just lose that opportunity right now. So that's frustrating. All right, so the best one I am going on is this. Now, can I get anything? I can't get anything for $2, so that is a little bit of a strapped for cash situation. However, I could do this. I could lose 1 or gain 3, which would let me buy again, and then all players, which is me, would just lose 1 per gray building, lose 1 population. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to gain the $3 in anticipation for my next move. 1, 2, 3. Then I'm going to lose a population for each gray building I have. Well, I have 1, 2, 3. So that brings this down here now, 1, 2, 3 to 11. That's a little bit better off in that case, no matter what happens. So we flip over his card, remove the middle left number 3 building. It's the middle left, it's gone, so that one's already gone. We flip another card. Remove the middle right number 5. Well, that's gone, so we flip another card. Remove the leftmost 3. Okay, so there's that. So now I have a few more bucks. I'm a little shy on actual land, though, unfortunately. So anything I would build, I would need more land, which is really too bad because that's going to put me in a predicament where I'm not going to be able to do much. So instead of that, I'm going to activate this. It says you may buy a suburb for $1, and then all players get 1 suburb per train station. So basically I can spend 1, and then I'll get 2 more, so that's 3 suburb tiles. And I could put them wherever I want. And we're already kind of trying to beef up this spot over here, so I'm going to put that over there. And then I'm going to put this over here to try, sorry about the clamoring upstairs. And then I'm going to put this over here. And that will be where I build these things. And the idea here, I'm trying to get, more access to these buildings where I need to be adjacent to. Okay? So then we flip over this. It says remove the rightmost 3 buildings. So this one goes out of the game. And I've got $4 left. And what do I want to do with that $4? I would like, if at all possible, to up my amount of amenities in orange because that's where I'm focusing. So I think I'm going to do this printed on building. I won't get a bonus, but I will get 4 more amenities for that. So let's spend 3. And that will be another one of these tiles, and that will move me up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that when we score this, I'm going to maximize my situation. And at this point, the flood tile thing is done, so that doesn't matter so much. So why don't we go ahead and put this right here. Okay, solo turn. He flips over. Remove the rightmost 5 building. That's gone. Now it's back to me. I get to activate this. So my choice is that I could either gain a building to increase this amenity more, or just gain 3 points. Well, I'm already over the limit. I could gain more for next time, but I think I'm going to take the 3 points instead. So that's going to push me up to 9. Then I get to score this track. Well, I'm at or above the population, so I get the full amount, so that's 10 points right there. That puts me to 19. And then that is over. So the round ends. And because I ended the round, he will go first next time. Now, the only thing that happens at the end of the round is you go through a profit section here where you're going to earn $5 per green building you have, plus any money that would correspond to these. So that means I earn 5, 10, 15. I have a card here that gives me money for the pink tiles. So that's 16, 17. And then I have 2 cards for the blue. So it'll be 18, 19, 20, 21. So I get $21, which is good because I've got to build some expensive landmarks if I want to score them at the end of the game. All right, so when that's done, you clean up by just taking all these out, and then you put the round 3 things out. So you're ready to go for round 3. You flip over the events, you update the round track, which means that you're going to then add more people, and that will be the end of the round. You do this again one more time. It's a 3-round game, and then basically that's it. Now, if you've exceeded 120, I think it's exceed, equal to or higher than 120, then that's a great score and you win. So that is how you play this game. Let me tell you what I think about it. Okay, so that is rebuilding Seattle from a solo standpoint. So here's a couple points I want to make about the game. Number 1, plays really quickly. You can play this game in definitely a half hour. Setup is probably 5 minutes. Takedown is probably 5 minutes, maybe even less. You know, it's all about the bags, whatever you're doing. But this game is definitely an under an hour solo experience, and I really like that. I appreciate it. This game has a lot of good, fun decisions. They are not obvious, especially since you don't know when the events are going to take place. You don't know exactly how much time you have to try to get the things up as high as you want before, boom, it's time to score. So you got to be careful about that. I also think that the 120 point limit is challenging when you play it right. Again, I played it wrong the first time, blew it away. I was like, something doesn't seem right here. And then I noticed, oh my gosh, it doesn't say set to that number, it's increase. So you are kind of trying to catch a runaway train by this game, you know, and that definitely feels fun because it provides the tension which you need in a game like this. You want tension. The denial mechanism from the solo cards, I think, is just fine. It's very much like it would be if you played multiplayer because people are going to take the card, people are going to take the event. You never know exactly when they're going to do it. So to me, that really simulates the multiplayer feel for this kind of game. So I don't think you're losing anything at all by playing solo. The actual decision space isn't overwhelming, but the choices are still a lot of fun. So this game has, I think, like, you know, let's see. So 4 pages of rules. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pages of rules. It is a very easy game to teach, and one that I think that you would, even though I guess we're just talking about solo, but you could sit down and learn this and be playing it within 20 minutes, really. Now, there is maybe some small clarifications here and there that you might have to look up, but they're very minor. I was really kind of playing this game right away without having to watch any videos to try to figure out the flow or anything else. It's literally a very, very manageable learn, and so it's easy to do that. And I also think that what's fun about the replayability of a game like this is that you have all of these little, you know, like the different cities, right? This is the Queen Anne spot, but there's, I think, 6 of these in the box, and so that will provide 3 different laws, which definitely change how you do your strategy. And this one had that, had a benefit for me to get $5 off of building one of my landmarks, which made it possible for me to build both of them without worrying too much. But it's $14 is a lot of money to spend for a landmark, so that's tough. But those are a huge source of points in some cases, at least in the cases of the games I've played. You know, each of them scored me like 16 apiece, which is big in a game that you're trying to get to 120. I mean, that's a quarter of your score, so you don't really want to ignore those. And there's varied numbers of landmarks. I mean, there's a bunch of them in there, so you only get your choice. You draw 3, you pick 2, so every game is going to be different that way too from a replayability standpoint. Plus, you're not going to be able to maximize everything. There's just not enough money to maximize everything, which I think is good, because if you were able to build everything, then the game would feel kind of ho-hum. I like the fact that you are under the gun with these events that are turning on you quickly, and you only have enough money to, build some of the buildings you want to build. You can't build them all. You're not going to be able to see all the buildings necessarily that'll come up, because there's all different shapes and sizes and colors. And sometimes the card draw is going to lean you in one direction or another. But as I showed, they do have the pre-printed buildings on there. So if you really didn't get a draw that you wanted, you could uncover that card, or maybe hope that the AI will uncover it for you, and then build what's on the board. So it's not like you're completely blocked from that. Overall, I think it's a very enjoyable, fun solo game. It doesn't do anything like miraculously novel, but I think for once, I get a city builder game that is a nice, tight economic game and not filled with a bunch of other stuff. Now, you can see I've had City Skylines on my collection in this spot maybe since I have started this channel. And I like that game a lot. But that game has a completely different feel to it, and it's kind of a win-lose co-op sort of thing, and it's different. It doesn't provide, it's also a lot longer, and there's more complexities to it and such. So it's a little bit more sprawling, but this provides more of a puzzle-like solo economic city building experience, and I appreciate that, because I think there's not enough city builders out there that feel fun after you've played them a couple times. This one still feels like a nice crunchy economic situation where you're trying to beat that score, and anything could happen with regards to the events. So there is some randomness. You never know when that event's going to kind of come, collapse on you. But you definitely could set out to have a strategy that you want to build, informed by your landmarks that you have, informed by the choices and how you start off in the game. And so it's not just a tactical affair either. So that's what I think about it. I hope that helped you to decide if this is a solo game you want in your collection or one you want to pass on. Either way, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And whatever you decide to do in the future, I hope you have a fantastic time doing it. Take it easy, everybody.